for our live tech talk that we do every Wednesday here on YouTube and Facebook. So thanks for joining us. Like I said, we'll give everybody a second here to get on. I am joining you from the road of a 2,000-mile road trip. So I've got some updates and exciting stuff to tell you about. That means it's time to go live. Let's see. This will be the last tech talk for 2022. So that's great. I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas and are getting ready for New Year's and 2023. We're looking forward to a whole new season of coming to you live with our tech talks for 2023. So that's going to be pretty cool. How are we looking? We got quite a few on there.
42.
All right, we're doing good. Okay, so hello everybody. Welcome GenRight Nation. This is awesome. I appreciate it. I'm coming to you live this time from inside my Jeep. I am stopped off of I-40 just outside of Albuquerque in a little town called Grants. And it is very cold outside. There's a big storm blowing through. I've been driving in the snow pretty much all day. We're going to show you some videos and stuff. I put together a little video we're going to show you here in a minute. As always, I welcome your tech talk. I welcome your questions and comments. So just type them in and we'll try and get to them. So I'll do my best here. Like I said, I'm doing it from the inside of my Jeep, as you could probably tell, because it's so cold and windy outside that you wouldn't even be able to hear me out there. So this is going to be fun. By the way, Aftershock has just turned about 21,000 miles. So this was a great opportunity for me to get on the road, go do a bunch of things in the Southwest United States that I've been wanting to do, and really just log some more miles and show everybody that you can take a GenRight build Jeep on 40-inch tires and just hop in it and go do a 2,000-mile road trip. So I want to instill confidence in people that these things are very roadworthy. I've got it packed and just goes down the highway beautifully. So, all right. Any questions right off right now? No? Okay. All right. Then let's go to a short video that I've put together for you guys. And then I can take some questions after that. Sound good? All right. We're going to turn off this light and turn over to here. And go. Hey everybody, we're here on our big Christmas to New Year's road trip with Josh Nesser from Trails Off-Road. Josh, tell us about what we did yesterday.
So we actually started in Williams, Arizona. We being very impulsive on this trip, just if you see it, let's go do it. So we stopped at Arizona, which we were worried about at the beginning, but ended up being absolutely amazing. It actually might have been the highlight of the trip, as funny as that sounds.
I know, I thought it was a bit of a tourist trap, on the surface, but it actually turned out to be pretty cool.
I mean, it's probably the best zoo I've ever been to. I mean, you actually get to see animals move around. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So from there, we headed up to Flagstaff just to hang out a little bit. Then headed south. We were going to hit Schnebly Hill, but it is seasonal closure, so we went around the mountain and ended up hitting Broken Arrow. Yep. And I think that was your first time,
That was pretty cool, yeah. I've never done. I didn't even know there was wheeling here in Sedona, so.
Yeah, I mean, such a beautiful scenery. I mean,
yes.
That's the one thing that it's worth doing. So when you go to, definitely check out Broken Arrow, because that puts you right in the middle of the red rocks. It's just beautiful. Yeah. Get out, walk around, go check out Chicken Corner, or Chicken Point, some people call it, Submarine Rock. Get up and just stand around taking the beauty.
See,
Barely.
this is back over at Arizona, where there's more than just bears. There's one way up in the tree.
Where is that?
This is at Arizona.
Where?
Oh, just outside of Williams, Arizona.
You can just cruise through? That was a question.
So it's you pay per adult in the vehicle or child, and you get to drive through, as you saw us doing, and then there's a whole section where you can park and walk through just like this. So this was the raccoon exhibit, and there a lot of the animals, you know, have their own area. This is a grizzly bear. There's actually several of them that were trying to hibernate, but they had a lot of visitors, namely us. And that's about a 1-inch plate glass window that he was looking at us through. Obviously, Callie was just soaking this up. And these are some small foxes. And you can see there's a lot of people that go. Yeah, if you missed it, this is just outside of Williams, Arizona. There's some big black bears. This is the drive-through part right here. And there were wolves and mountain goats and bighorn sheep and tons of animals. Then we took the train ride, the Grand Canyon train, over on what they call the Polar Express. It's kind of a holiday related thing. Everybody goes in their pajamas and they play Christmas music and the little kids dance and they serve hot chocolate and cookies. As you can see, it's a pretty fun thing for the kids. There's Josh getting his groove on. And Santa hands out a few things to everybody. Once we got to once we got to the North Pole. Okay, now this was part of today's drive. The I-17 was closed as this storm blew in, so we had to take a detour.
Here on a bypass, a detour. Highway 17 was closed for us to get over to the 40. We're headed for somewhere Santa Fe, New Mexico, and this is the only way we could go. Now, we've got a little weather that's rolled in overnight, right? So the snow levels dropped, but this is all part of the adventure, right?
That's it, man. Yeah. Just living life and seeing where it takes you the next day is half the fun of actually owning a Jeep and just having adventures.
That's right. That's right. So this is a little bit different than our normal trip where we'd be overlanding. Here we're just kind of road tripping it in Jeeps, and having a good time.
Yeah, just stopping where we want to stop. It's nice. It's, you know, I've done a lot of overland trips, but sometimes it's just more fun to just say, hey, you know what? Let's go north or south or something. Let's see what's this way.
We'll see what we get, but for the most part, we're just out having fun, and hope everybody at home is having a good time too.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Okay, so you got to see a little bit of what we've done so far. Obviously, we still have several days to go, but we're having a good time, hitting a few trails along the way. If you haven't ever checked out trailsoffroad.com, you should. There's a great network of trails on there, and they're easy to find, easy to follow, and he takes the user feedback and adds to it, so it's pretty cool. Josh is a great guy. I've known him for years, and he and I have done a bunch of wheeling since I've gotten my JL. We did one of Paula Jeep and Gypsy's tours together, one of her overland tours. That's how we first spent a bunch of time in our Jeeps and realized that we enjoyed off-roading together. So pretty cool. One of the things that I did want to point out, I don't know if you noticed or not, was when I was parked there in the snow, one of the coolest things about the Mickey Thompson Baja Boss MT tires is they put extra silica compound in them. And what that does is it makes them extra grippy as it gets cold and wet. If you'll also noticed that the tread pattern cleared out perfectly, so there was no snow caught in the tread. That's part of the design and what makes that tire so good. So when you are looking for your next tires, I suggest you check them out real close, whether it's the MT or their new AT. They're both top of the line in the tire market. So definitely check those out when you get a chance. Have we got any questions?
Mark Lawrence asked, are you wheeling fully loaded, or did you unload some weight at a campsite hotel?
Oh no, we're fully loaded, and you know, it's obviously I don't have all my camping gear with me. I do still have my fridge and tools and you know, some of the stuff that I brought along for the trip. So but no, I'm just leaving it all in here and going from trail to trail. So that part's been fun, and you know, some of it's been dry, some of it's been wet. So that the trail that you saw in the video was Broken Arrow in Sedona, Arizona. So we went from Williams on down, and this for us, getting to Williams was about an 8-hour drive to get there, and then you know, we're just working our way across. So what other questions have you got?
VB Tom asks, can you ride with taller springs in the back versus the front? 5.5 rear, 4.5 front, dune buggy style?
So you can. What I do, because I've got coilovers, is I can adjust the preload. So if I've got, you know, really heavy in the back, I can set it so that it makes the vehicle level, and then it'll perform like I'm used to it performing. So that's one of the benefits to doing a coilover shock. So great question.
Does Tony wrestle bears on his off days?
So let me tell you a story. I brought the Jeep out here. I just drove out the way it was decorated for our Christmas crawl or Jeep parade. And I had little Christmas trees on the door, and I had some wreaths on and a little Rudolph nose. When I got to Arizona, they made me take all that stuff off. They said the bears will attack your Jeep. So I had to, right at the entrance, like take all that stuff off and tuck it in. Because basically, once you pay, when you drive in, you're like going into their areas. So yeah, I had to strip everything off. But we thought it was hilarious. We're like, no way. But all of the animals were really active the whole time we were there. So like I said in the video, I expected it to be a little bit of a tourist trap, but actually it was really quite nice. So if you ever see one, it's a pretty cool deal.
Peter Doolin asks, do you use any special apps while driving to avoid bad weather?
That's a great question. Yes. I have downloaded each of the states. So the ADOT for Arizona, the NW dot for NM dot for New Mexico. So that, and I already have the California one, obviously. So that way you can keep track of the road closures. Now, a lot of those do have websites as well. And so you kind of need to double check both of them. Today, we really got messed up and added many hours to our trip because there were 2 rock slides. Our first route was Highway 89A North to get us up to the 40. That was closed due to a rock slide. And then by the time we made our way over to the 17, that was also closed for a rock slide. And we saw tons of accidents. We saw almost accidents like crazy. We saw a guy start to get sucked in off the road by the snow. And fortunately, he pulled it off before he hit a tree. And we saw a semi flipped over. People definitely, and there were 4 people that made U-turns right in front of us today. Right in front of us. Didn't even check their mirrors. So people, are crazy, and you got to drive defensive. Fortunately, with my cat-like reflexes, I'm ready for that stuff. So.
Steve Bird asks, are you going to drive Aftershock to my birthday party?
Oh, I didn't know there was a birthday party. That's awesome.
Some
Happy
comments about how much room there is in the JL with the roll cage and how nice it looks.
Yeah, so we maximized everything and reused all the factory stuff. So it's pretty nice as far as that goes. Even this A-pillar part doesn't take any more room out of the visibility than the factory cage did. And the seats go way back, and it's really nice. We've had guys that are like 6'4" get in here and say they felt fine. So thank you. I'm really happy with this cage for sure.
Looks like we got a YouTube question. What gears do you run in the Aftershock?
Yeah, so these are 538s, and that's an interesting question because I was thinking about this about a half an hour ago. So by going to 538s, that takes your 40-inch tire, and as far as the vehicle is concerned, it puts it right back to stock. So it thinks that the stock size tire is on there as far as the driveline is concerned. But what I was going to do is I was actually going to do the math, and I'll bet with the 2 overdrives that are on this transmission, I'll bet that drive shaft at 90 miles an hour is probably going pretty close to the speed of sound. So you definitely want a balanced drive shaft. And a lot of today, I drove in 4-wheel drive, and because I was trying to make up a little bit of time, we were hauling for sure. I mean, once we got past the rock slides, there was nobody on we didn't see another car for a long, long time. So we were able to haul pretty good. So.
Rick Harrington asked, do they still do the gunfight on the train and hijack it?
So that's for the regular Grand Canyon Railroad. If you're just going to the Grand Canyon, we did the Polar Express version of that. And they did have a little show right before it, and talking about, kids and gifts and stuff. And then we all boarded the train and headed off. And as you saw in the video, everybody was singing Christmas carols and the kids were dancing. And like I said, they passed out hot chocolate cookies, and Santa came through when we got. They take you. It's almost to the Grand Canyon actually. They've got a little North Pole set up where Santa's there with his reindeer and everything, and then Santa got on the train and visited all the kids. So that was pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Okay, here's a Jeep question.
Sure.
Recommendation for transfer case shifter linkage when doing a 1-inch body lift, 1-inch motor mounts, and belly up 2006 TJ.
I assume you're talking about keeping the factory linkage. Yes, you do. If you buy a good, TJ body lift kit, it should come with the bracket that you need to lift everything at the same time. That's should be part of the kit. If you don't get that, there are a few aftermarket companies that make linkage, and I can look and see if I have one that I'd recommend. They're typically all made at the same Chinese factory. I'm sorry, but that's the reality. So,
or cable shifter
well,
conversion?
if you go to Atlas, then you go to a cable shifter. So, and you could buy an Atlas cable shifter and adapt it, but you've got some work ahead of you. So, it's all options. It is. We were on this trip. We were having a talk about why do you need an Atlas? Sounds like a lot of money, And I explained that look, you cannot use the Atlas to its potential until you go to big axles, because say for instance you're on 37s with 44s and you now get the ability, and this is the real reason you want an Atlas, is so that you can do a front dig or a rear dig. If you do that with your factory front end, even if it's built up, you're going to blow that thing. So you want to have the bigger axles, and that'll really give you the ability to utilize that. Now you say, hey, what do I need to do a front dig for? Well, and I've done some videos on this, but it'll give you the ability to move over on a line, or if you're just on the trail and you come to like a super sharp U-turn, you just drop out the rear axle and you can pull the front end around. It like literally pivot on the back wheel. So you can turn super sharp. So even if you're going to do something like Black Bear Pass or just some other switchbacks on trails near you, having the Atlas makes a huge difference. Arizona's a great place, if you're out in Parker or Havasu where you're in the tight canyons, you can use that front drive to just pull you around everywhere you want to go. So, and trust me, the moment you see what it's capable of, you're going to say it's worth every penny. Every single customer that I've advised to get one that kind of did it based on my recommendation, once they had it, they were like, Tony, this thing is golden. So there you go.
Looks like Josh got a little love on YouTube. The Trails Off-Road is a great resource and well worth it.
Nice. It is. I use it for sure.
And where's your shop located?
Our shop's in Simi Valley, California. So a little bit north of Los Angeles, but not as far up as Ventura.
Any word on a cage for a JT?
Okay, so it's actually very similar to this, right? And I know it's on the short list for myself and my engineers to work on. I just had that conversation last Friday. So it's not far away, I can tell you that. We have about 100 brand new products in the pipeline. So we're narrowing it all down. But here's what I can tell you. If you're really interested in one, you need to call in and talk to my guys and get your name on a list so that as soon as it's available, we can call you back and say, okay, either we're close or it's available, and, kind of shore things up. So definitely call in and talk to my guys.
Are you running a JE Real driveline?
Yes. So when I did the EXS, right, because I've got the super upgraded, you can either call this, the killer rock crawler or high-speed desert or luxury overlander, whatever you want to call it. I put in the best drive lines you can get, which happen to be the JE Real 1350 drive shafts. And these are thick wall, heavy duty splines with 1350 joints on them. And that is equal in strength to the 40 spline rear axle I have and 35 spline front axle I have. So that way I don't necessarily have a weak link in my system, and that they all work in harmony, so to speak.
Colin on YouTube asked, is there a downside of not running inner fender liners on your fenders?
Well, that's a good question. So I don't run the inner fenders. The upside is you let all the heat out, and many times I've posted pictures, and I can post more tomorrow if you want. I've just driven through the snow, the rain, the mud, and I guarantee you there won't be a speck on my exhaust in the engine compartment. So I did a run, back in October, where we went out to the Grand Canyon, and we had to go through some deep mud, and still there was nothing in the engine compartment. So not having the inner fenders is not that big of a deal, and I'm talking about like I splashed through. I can post that video too. So yeah, although we sell inner fenders for people who want those, and it's a nice dress up item, I don't run them because I don't want the heat in the engine compartment. So
GenRight brake line locks, ball valve parking brake. How long will this hold pressure?
It'll hold pressure practically indefinitely. You can ask somebody that borrowed my vehicle one time, Terremoto, and left it on and drove for about, I don't know, 15, 20 miles with it on, not realizing that it was on. So, when you've got a 600 plus horsepower V8 in your Jeep, it'll just drive right through everything. So, yeah, it's one of those things where, again, it's a parking brake, right? So it's going to keep your vehicle from rolling forward or back, and it serves its purpose, absolutely. So, yep.
Do you have an Atlas in the Aftershock?
Not yet. So I'm still, when I built this vehicle, it was super important to me to keep the factory Rubicon drivetrain. I wanted people to be able to focus on just our suspension. When I did Terremoto and I had the V8 and the suspension, it was very hard for people to separate the two. So on this one, I really wanted to be careful about it. And this thing rips, no doubt about it. Most people think I have a V8 in here, and I've learned the trick to turn off all the traction control, and we used it today while we were in the snow, and you can absolutely rip in this thing. So it'll go anywhere you want. I mean, we were just plowing through stuff. So yeah.
What are your thoughts on the diesel versus V6 gas in the JL for off-road use?
So the diesel is great for the highway. It has the torque and power that'll cruise on the highway. The RPM's low. It's very comfortable, very quiet. That's great. I've also driven the 4-cylinder 2-liter turbo, and that thing really scoots. I was quite surprised, even more so than my V6. And of course, the V6 has been in the 4-door Jeeps for years now, and they've only perfected it with the JL and the 8-speed tranny, and that's really the combination that makes this click. And on this road trip, we're getting somewhere between near 15 miles to the gallon, and we've got winds and hills and all kinds of things we're dealing with. So I'm going to say that's not too bad for a Jeep on 40s. And honestly, this thing is a pleasure to drive. The EXS suspension is so comfortable. I mean, I would compare it to, a Cadillac, a Mercedes, any luxury car. It is very, very comfortable. And, you can drive for 8-10 hours a day and feel just fine. So, and then of course you get all the luxuries in this thing with heated seats and steering wheel and dual zone climate control and all that good stuff. So just depends on what you're looking for and wanting to do.
Eric on YouTube asked, how long does it take your shop to install your roll cage in a 2021 JLU?
So the roll cage is a major install. You're easily looking at 2 weeks. And that doesn't include scheduling you in. And if you order a non-stock powder-coated color, that's going to add another week. If you want, anything out of the ordinary, it just adds weeks on. So we did make this cage so that you could put most of the factory plastic back in. So here's what I can tell you. When the Jeep comes in, we spend a few days getting the entire interior out, and then a few more days getting the factory cage out. So that takes about a week. Then it takes about it's somewhere between 3 and 4 days to get the cage installed, sometimes 5, depending, if you've got adaptive cruise control or something like that. And what options you want. Some people want the aluminum roof. That adds more time because we tab it all out and everything. And then it's got to go to powder coat, right? So, and that at a bare minimum takes a week. This time of year takes 2. So it just kind of depends. So it can be 3-4 weeks without even batting an eye, and that doesn't include any scheduling. So it's a pretty big job, but man, it is that extra level of safety. And remember, ours is 2-inch tubing, and that's twice the strength of the 1 3/4 that other people are offering. So this is really the good stuff. And do yourself a favor and get all the options. I know we offer them as options, but I really want you to have all those things. It's like the difference between wearing a full face helmet or an open face helmet. Wear the full face and get all the options.
Anthony Paquette asked, are you running the Switch Pros in Aftershock, and where do you have it mounted if you are?
Yeah, actually, great question. It's right here. So I run my lockers and everything right through this, and I've got a locker enable, and then I've got my front and rear. And the reason I have it right here is I want to be able to see the locker lights right here. Where they have it in the factory, where they're down by the shifters, that's dorky, and it's wrong. In the JKs, they had them down here on either side of the steering wheel. This is where you want them. And what I did was I mounted it in a way where the height was the same as the dash bar, so it doesn't obstruct any of my vision. And then I've got my bumper lights, my rock lights, and a few other extras where I can add things on. So this is where I like it, right here. And it again, it's all because no matter what I'm doing, I can't miss that I left my lockers on. Because remember, in here I'm running the electric lockers, and it's different than some of the other vehicles I've had where I was running Detroits or ARBs or whatever that looks like. So these are the EAT electric lockers.
Mark Sheenman said, hi, Tony. Good seeing you up in See Me a couple weeks ago. I'm in the middle of my LJ build and getting close to finishing. One thing that came to mind is insurance. What do you do for insurance here in California for your rig, since they are worth so much more than a standard LJ, TJ, JK, JL value? I plan on using the rig on the street as well as on the trail, kind of like Andrew does his.
Yeah, that's a great question. So you got 2 choices. One is you build this big catalog of receipts, and you save them all just in case something happens to your Jeep. Or you do what I did, and you go after what's called stated value. So you tell the insurance company, I want to insure look, I know it's a 1989 and you guys think it's worth $3,000. No, I want to insure it for $100,000. How much does that policy cost? That's called stated value. Sometimes you have to go to a specialty. Not all insurance companies offer that. So you can go to a specialty insurance company that would insure classic cars or hot rods or rare vehicles, and they will happily do that kind of insurance as well. So that's the best way to do it. Something happens, there's no arguing, there's no questions. They just pay you the money and you're done. So because you've paid the full amount for the stated value.
Okay, James Roberts says, finally getting the powertrain installed in my Elite rolling chassis next month.
Nice.
Will the brake master cylinder on my 2012 Rubicon need to be upgraded to run the R1 brakes?
No, you will not have to. That's totally up to you. Some of the people will go in and get they offer a larger one that will fit in the JK. I say you try it first. I think you'll be perfectly happy with the way it is. By the way, I'm running, I haven't put on my R1 brakes on this vehicle yet. I've just got the standard brakes that came with the Curry axles and the standard vacuum master cylinder on this. And this thing stops on a dime. So I can't wait till I get the R1s in here and see how much more control and better modulation I get. Keep in mind, I worked with all these companies to build performance brake packages so that you didn't have to modify all that stuff. And by the way, the guys at R1, also drive Jeeps. So they've had a JL, a JK, and a JT right now. So they're using these products themselves. So you're working with the right people when it comes to this stuff. And great question.
YouTube question, what should I use to polish up the aluminum GenRight side rockers?
Good question. So we have it on our website, but you can also find it or versions of it at one of your do-it centers, your home do-it centers. It's called Scotch Brite. And we sell a burgundy version of it. It's a pretty good size pad. You know, it's like not quite 8.5 by 11. But if you use that and run it with the grain of the brushed aluminum, it will bring it back to like the day you open the package from us. And it makes it look beautiful. So whether it's been stained by the mud or a little oxidization, or say you've even scratched it and you needed to file off some of the area and then sand it and then you Scotch Brite it again, you'll never even know you had scuffed it or damaged your fender or rockers. You can make it look like brand new. It's even if you brought it to us, it's the exact same thing we would do.
Looks like we're all caught up on questions.
Awesome, man. Lots of good questions. I love it. So hopefully you all heard me. You know, part of what I like to do in this kind of an instance is show people that you can build a Jeep on 40-inch tires and hop on the road and go for a 2,000-mile road trip without even thinking about it. And that's what we do. Is I want to build Jeeps that are good on and off road. So if you're one of our customers or thinking about being a customer, you're at the right place. We're gonna give you value for your money, and you're really going to enjoy what you're getting out of it for sure.
Bob Wilson asked, didn't I see you, Tony, last Friday driving a 2022 Ford Bronco?
No. That's pretty funny. I saw a few Broncos today on the road, but no Broncos. No. That's pretty funny. Yeah. Heck, other than that, we're gonna keep on the road here. We've still got a ways to go tonight, at least another 120 miles. So we'll get to our destination, and then I know over the next couple of days we'll be hitting some trails and then working our way back west, back out to California. So and then what I'll do next Wednesday is I can give you guys another recap of how the whole trip went and answer some more questions and even show you some things on the Jeep that I've done. And remember, you know, when we build a Jeep like this, you get locking front hubs, right? So when I'm on the highway, I've unlocked the hubs. So only the wheel bearings are turning, not that entire front drive line. And that's a huge savings for mileage that you're not rolling that whole thing. So these are all things that I've learned about and built into my vehicles over the years. And by the way, I'll remind everybody, you know, I've built several YJs, several TJs, several LJs, several JKs, several JLs, and many of these were my personal vehicles. So yeah, I'm very familiar with all these platforms myself. I mean, this is what I like to do, is entrench myself in the platform, learn everything that it needs, because I'm also trying to think about and come up with new products before you guys even realize you need them. So we're constantly trying to make a better mousetrap for sure. So
how long for the 392 suspension?
So the 392, the first one is almost done. Well, the suspension is the same, right? Same chassis, same suspension, geometry, 3-link, 4-link, flat belly, 3.0 coilovers, air bumps. The change was the motor mounts and the exhaust. So I know that Darren made a bunch of, the engine and transmission are already in, and Jeff might have already posted a picture of that over on GenRight, or if he's on right now, he could even take a picture and post it right now. But the engine, transmission, and transfer case are already in, and we're just doing the exhaust, and then we'll be able to put the body on, and we'll have the first one delivered here quite quickly. So typically I'll test drive those for about a week. I'll make sure that none of them have any bugs, you know, that if there's any issues, I can handle them before the vehicle gets delivered. And then there's 12 more 392s right behind that. So, man, we've got our work cut out for us for 2023. So,
can you say a special hello to Tammy?
Yeah. Hey, Tammy. Good to see you. Have we got anybody else on there? That any one of our, I know Peter Peter was on there. What about Kelly or my
Yeah.
mom?
Yeah, I saw them all. It was
Yeah.
nice running into you today from Matt and Julie Heyer. We finally made it to Flagstaff
Nice. Awesome.
in the Aqua Jeep.
That's cool. Yes. That was great. Running that was totally unexpected. So awesome. And thanks for being on tonight. Yeah.
Ginger says hi.
Hi, Ginger. Awesome.
Drilling holes, James Roberts. Drilling 30 holes in my new Elite frame for the rock sliders is daunting. I'm thinking of just having them welded on. What are your thoughts?
Yes. Yes, I'm a big fan of having them welded on. You know, there's some people that are totally against welding. I'm not one of those. Just get over it and weld that stuff on.
Oh, now you have to say hi to Yancey too.
Oh, hi, Yancy. But as far as the rockers go, some people actually like to do both. They like to bolt them on and then weld them on. But, you know, getting each one of those holes tapped, you know, and the bolts in there, you're right. That is a big task. So if there's, like, if you didn't lease this thing, there's no reason for you to have to pull those rockers off. Weld that stuff on and be done with it. Rosette weld each one of those holes and weld around the outside, and you'll never look back. Paint it up and you're good to go.
Is there any way to run a GenRight roll cage with a farther back middle bar behind your back for tall guys? Jeep JK. You.
So we've already got this arced to go back, and right now, so he said Jeep JK.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the entire, as a manufacturer, our challenge is this: we've always got to build them for the public so that they fit both hard and soft tops. Then we've got to make sure that they fit the factory seats. Then we have to make sure that the rear seats fold down. Okay, those constraints are absolutely insane as a manufacturer. Okay, so if you personally are willing to give up some of that stuff, man, you can go to town. You can actually add to the bar, push it back, and you know, then connect everything. It's going to take a little bit of work, but it's totally doable. But you know, if you're going to put adults in that rear seat, they're going to be kissing that bar and forget about folding the seats down. So that's just, you know, you may say, no, I don't even have seats back there anymore. These are all the personal aspects that, you know, we as a manufacturer can't even begin to deal with, because I see so many configurations out there. But honestly, guys, that's what I love about Jeeps, is everybody can build it different to meet their needs and do it. You know, it's just part of the fun, making it unique. So awesome. Good question.
Hey, Tony, 2012 JKU. Planning on getting a gas tank. Will the gas tank still allow for the stock shock mounts in the rear?
Okay, great question. If you get our 20 or 25 gallon JK gas tank, yes. We'll still work with the factory coil springs, factory shocks, factory everything, track bar, whole 9 yards. It's only when you go to the bigger 36 gallon tank, which also requires our entire Elite suspension. So, but you know, then you're not worried about the factory shocks or springs. So, yeah.
YouTube question. Why do you always do LS swaps versus Hemi swaps? Is it because of the running cooler factor?
No, actually, it has to do with the accessories that are mounted on the front of the motor. So many Hemi engines that are available to the aftermarket have, whether it's the power steering or the air conditioning or all of those things that hang off the front of the motor that are driven by the belt are called accessories. So those things on an LS, you can move them wherever you want to make room for suspension links, for steering components, for all kinds of things. And in addition to that, I like the LS platform because it's 150 pounds lighter. So you take the ability to adapt it to the build you're doing and lighter. Those would be the reasons. The 392 and the other, you know, whether it's 5.7, 6.2, whatever Hemis, they're great engines. They run good, and a lot of people like to stay with the factory platform. But for me, I like, you know, getting a built Chevrolet platform transmission is much easier, and just, you know, that being able to move those accessories and then lighter. So that's my answer.
Neil Wampler asks, do you need spring water from Virginia to keep you warm? I'll send you some. Peachy.
I can tell you it's cold outside, man. just I can feel the temperature inside the Jeep here. Just while we've been here the last hour is just creeping down. When we fire it back up, we're going to turn the heater on for sure.
Okay, here's a VB Tom question.
Sure.
2006 LJR. I want to go with the 23 or 26 gallon tank using my stock pump. Will my gas gauge still work?
Yes, great question. So what happens is we sell basically every tank we sell will take your factory pump module, or pickup is what some people call them, especially if you're talking CJ, YJ. They were tubed items. Maybe sometimes they had a fuel pump on them or not, so they were a pickup. But they'll take your factory fuel pump module, like this 2006 LJ. We make an extension kit, so if our tank is deeper, then you can extend the rods and springs to make sure that the pump module sits on the bottom. Now, meantime, you've got a little arm inside on a float, then that's what registers the gas gauge on all Jeeps, okay? So what'll happen is you get the choice. So like in this Jeep, what'll happen is it stays on full for a long time, and then it'll start to fall, you know, pretty evenly and quickly toward empty. I could, if that bothered me, I could go in and bend the arm a little bit so that it came down off of full sooner, and then it stayed in the rest of the range longer. So for each of our tanks and each of our customers, you have the ability to go in there and just tweak the arm. You know, it looks like a coat hanger, right? There's nothing to it. It's just a piece of wire. So you can go in there and modify that a little bit. And I'm talking just a little bit, you know, half an inch is a lot on one of the range for this thing. And then you can get the full range of your gas tank. By the way, we always set them so that they leave 3 to 5 gallons in the bottom of the tank, because when you spread that out over the bottom of a tank, that's only, you know, like an inch of fuel in the bottom. So you got to have some margin of error. You know, you don't always happen to hit the gas station right when the, you know, light goes on. So we got to leave you a little bit of room there. So hopefully that answers the question. We're doing pretty good?
That's it.
All right. Well, awesome, everybody. Man, I appreciate everybody joining me. I know this is a little bit out of the ordinary, but I love coming to you guys regardless of where I am. And it's just part of the adventure for me. So thanks for letting me share it with you, and always happy to answer your questions. We'll catch up with you guys next Wednesday. And since I won't get to talk to you before then, Happy New Year to everybody. All right. See you guys later.